Hi, my name is Dwayne Gathers, and welcome to CivitasLA, where we feature diverse and emerging leaders who make up this dynamic region and are creating community every day and building a better tomorrow. In these biweekly conversations, we hear from, learn from, and are inspired by a new generation of civic entrepreneurs who are forging a path forward in making Los Angeles a stronger, more resilient, and connected group of citizens. Now more than ever, we aim to elevate civic discourse, foster community connections, and promote civic knowledge and engagement across the greater Los Angeles region while elevating diverse and emerging voices in the civic conversation. Given that we're airing this episode on March 3rd, I just want to start with some words from an article that I recently read by Jessica Ellis in Wise Geek, and she talked about the role of women in community building and community development. She states, "The role of women in community development can be crucial to the health of a society. According to some sociologists, women make many of the decisions that determine a household's participation in the community, including healthcare, educational, and cultural decisions. As members of community development organizations such as outreach programs, parent-teacher associations, cultural societies, and city planning boards, women can use the knowledge they garner from household decisions to make a substantive contribution to the future of their city or town." So with that said, Civitas LA is absolutely delighted to launch our first Women's History Month series featuring diverse women who lead. And while we only have the opportunity to speak to 3 guests over the course of this coming month, this whole series is dedicated to the many women of our greater Los Angeles region who are making Los Angeles a stronger, more resilient, and connected group of citizens. So here we begin our first episode of Women's History Month. Founded in 2003 by a small group of committed friends with a passion for supporting women and girls, EmpowHer's mission is to empower girls and young women in marginalized communities through education, training, and mentorship to become confident, college, and career ready. Here to help us launch this series, we're delighted to have with us today, calling in, Betty LaMarr, founder of EmpowHer, and Dawn L. Brown, Chief Executive Officer and Executive Director, as we look forward to discussing their work in addressing some of the critical challenges facing young women of color from marginalized communities in our region, and how this work seeks to support girls in developing the critical skills and access to the necessary resources to navigate systemic barriers and break generational cycles of poverty. Calling in today, welcome Betty LaMarr and Dawn Brown. Welcome to Civitas LA.
Thank you, Dwayne, very much for having us here today.
Well, we appreciate both of you. So we start with a little insight into your Los Angeles region with a few lightning round questions. So I'm going to start off by asking, Dawn, favorite restaurant or two?
So my favorite restaurant, I'm an East Coast girl originally from DC, and I have to preference it by saying that because my uh my father's side is from Maryland, and so they're crabbers. And so
Okay.
there are many people. So seafood is a part of life. It's part of how we breathe, right?
Uh-huh.
So my favorite restaurant is Crustaceans.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I love that garlic noodles and shrimp and that drunken crab makes me happy.
Okay. Betty?
I'm not a foodie, but I like atmosphere. So I troll Los Angeles for atmosphere and experiences. So
Okay.
one of my favorite restaurants uh, is actually Craig's
Okay. In
in
West
the
Hollywood.
Melrose area in West
Okay.
Hollywood.
Okay. Favorite watering hole?
Oh, I'll start with that one. My favorite watering hole is actually the Beach Cafe at Jamaica Bay Inn. That's where I go take my friends. We sit there and have hors d'oeuvres and drinks
Okay.
and watch the sunset. So
Okay. Dawn, do you want to answer?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite watering hole, and I've been out of LA for the last like 5 years, so I'm just getting back in.
Okay.
But the Edison was my spot.
Oh,
Like that
yes.
was my spot.
Oh,
I don't even know
you're a
if it's
party
still
girl. That's
around.
downtown.
Yes, that was my spot. So yeah, you'll
Okay.
always see me there getting a drink.
Favorite place to take a visitor? Betty?
oh yeah, well, I'm the LA tour guide, and because I'm kind of a beach girl, I appeal to LA visitors' curiosity about Venice Beach Walk. So that's usually like a must do for visitors in
Okay.
LA.
Excellent. Dawn, do you have a favorite place?
Yeah, so I always make my visitors hike Runyon Canyon.
Ah,
Whoa.
And I know it's terrible, but I do. I make them hike Runyon Canyon to that spot where there are the benches, and you can oversee the Hollywood sign and all of LA. It's just beautiful, and it's the best sight to me for a visitor to see what LA is really about and the beauty of it. So.
love it, love it. Favorite hidden gem? Tell us someplace secret that our guests don't know about. Betty, do you want to start?
I would say Paradise Cove. It's one of those places that in Malibu that's kind of tucked away. They have a restaurant there with an incredible menu that you can just pig out on seafood, and They're not short on the portions. If you don't want to eat, you can just go kick back and relax on the beach
Love it,
right in that spot. So yeah, Paradise Cove.
love it. Dawn, do you have a favorite hidden gem?
Hmm. Um, so I was thinking about this one, and I worked for most of my time living in LA downtown, and so right where Union Station is.
Yep.
So across from there is a park, and there is a there's a spot. I don't even know the name of it, but there's a spot there where you can get Mexican hot chocolate.
Okay.
And right around the corner is Mr. Churro, where you can get the churros pumped with caramel in the middle.
Okay.
So that is like my little hidden gem spot that I have to go to like once a year because the Mexican hot chocolate is the bomb. I've never had anybody else's Mexican hot chocolate taste as good, and the
Okay.
churros are the bomb.
Well, I know, Dawn, you've already answered this question. Best hike or favorite park in the region?
Hmm. That would definitely be Runyon Canyon for me
Okay.
because of the fact that the visual it's not just it's a great hike. And so it'll work you out. And my trainer used to make me go there all the time. Um, once a week, I had to run Runyon Canyon.
Okay.
And also you get eye candy because you get to see everything. um, you do like you see all these celebrities, you see all of these regular people, everybody's like beautiful and but looking crazy because they're all trying to make it up that hill, and I just love it.
Okay. A little running can for eye candy. Betty, favorite park or hike?
My favorite park is look, I've just kind of fallen in love with my neighborhood, so it's
Okay.
Burton Chase Park.
Got
So
it.
Burton
Okay.
Burton Chase Park is great for walking, and when the pandemic is over, it's great for summer concerts.
Okay. Favorite street food? Betty.
Oh, I don't have any.
Okay. Dawn.
The Koji truck. I don't know.
Oh, yes. We love the trucks. We love those. Okay. Favorite neighborhood in the region? Betty?
I like Santa Monica.
Dawn, favorite neighborhood? Being
um,
an East Coast girl.
So while I have never lived there, I now officially work there. I actually really love Inglewood. And
Okay.
since most of my friends lived in Inglewood, I spent a lot of time there. But I just love that there's so many Black-owned businesses, and it reminds me a lot of DC.
Okay.
So it feels like family when you go into a restaurant or a shop there. Things have changed a lot since the stadium,
Sure.
but I love Inglewood.
Well, we were grateful to have a really terrific three-part series on Inglewood and all the good things going on there, yet all the challenges. So we'll share that again. Well, that was terrific, Betty and Don. We really appreciate the lightning round and getting a sense of your Los Angeles. But as we start this conversation, we always like to have our guests get a sense of you and your background. So take a few minutes, please, and just give us a brief intro to yourselves. We'll start with Betty, as the founder of EmpowHer. We'll start with you, Betty.
Well, thank you, Dwayne. I came into Empower Her as a founder from my background in corporate America as an executive in sales and marketing in high tech. And from there, I went into consulting, where uh, after about 25 years in tech, went into what I call high touch, which was consulting on diversity and inclusion, and then moved into my own business of executive coaching, where I then went back into corporate America and coached executives on their professional development. And all of that really was pretty amazing how it converged to make me a better leader for the cause of Empower Her. So that's a little bit about how my background and my journey to getting to Empower Her.
Okay, excellent. Dawn, please share with us a little bit.
Yeah, so I have 20 plus years of nonprofit management experience, with the majority being in executive management. Have also worked as a consultant for various nonprofit organizations, primarily in the area of organizational management and fundraising and development, as well as social justice. I eat, sleep, and breathe social justice. And so, from a racial and gender justice perspective, and have spent most of my career working in youth development, primarily with young people involved, girls, primarily with girls involved in the justice system.
Gotcha. No, thank you. Betty, you and a group of friends, got together to launch Empower Her back in 2003. So set the table for us. How did the organization come into being, and what inspired you and your collaborators to launch this organization?
So, Dwayne, I left corporate America in 1994 and moved to South Africa. And I left because I wanted my contribution to the world to be greater than myself. I wanted it to be for something more than just me, which I felt that my career in corporate America was really just about me climbing the corporate ladder. And so after 4 years in South Africa, helping to bring that community back to a sense of empowerment and freedom, and just working with so many people who were just uh, focused on improving the lives of Black South Africans, which represented 85% of the population of that country. My tenure came to an end, and I came back to America, came back to Southern California, and I could not shake the need to continue to give back. And I actually was inspired by my experience there, seeing the women who actually were taking care of their families, they were taking care of their extended families through their entrepreneurial spirit. They didn't necessarily think of themselves as entrepreneurs. They were doing what they knew to do to feed their families and to contribute to their well-being. And so what they were doing was carving, making jewelry, uh, carving sculptures, selling art, doing whatever it took. And I was just inspired by that spirit of what they call Ubuntu, which is we are one, and that spirit of taking care. Each one takes care of the other. And so coming back here and talking to my friends, I actually was, just kind of had conversations with them where we talked about the need to continue to give back. All of us felt that we were blessed, and most of us were the first in our family to graduate college. We're the most successful ones in our families, and that kind of thing. And so we recognized too much to those who much is given, much is expected. And so it wasn't a hard sell, really, to my personal friends, and these were all of my personal friends all over the country. And that's how we started Empower Her Institute to focus on women and girls.
So that was great. I appreciate that, Betty. But can you share with us an overview of the community or communities that you're serving by this work?
Absolutely. So the communities that we're serving, let me just say that we are partnering with schools in Inglewood, in in Gardena, in Watts, and in Los Angeles, the Pico Union area.
Okay.
So that's where our four schools are located. And because our program is large, the predominance of our program is focused on school partnerships.
Okay.
Now, here's the other part of that. Even though those schools are in those communities, we many of our schools are, three of our schools are charter schools, and students come from all over. So they may come from Compton, they may come from Paramount, they may come from other communities to attend the schools that we serve or that we partner with.
And share with us the age range of the young ladies that you're primarily focused on.
Primarily from 12 to 18.
Okay, gotcha. Well, Betty, I want to touch on some of that international experience and then let Dawn enter this conversation as well. UNESCO, in a 2019 report, talked about the worldwide condition of girls' education. And in this girls' education overview, they noted that 132 million girls are out of school. And it says, girls' education goes beyond getting girls in school. It is also about ensuring that girls learn and feel safe while in school, have the opportunity to compete all levels of education, acquiring the knowledge and skills to compete in the labor market, learn socio-emotional life skills necessary to navigate and adapt to a changing world, and make decisions about their own lives and contribute to their communities in the world. Give me your thoughts on that statement as it relates to the work of EmpowHer, which is obviously focused locally and regionally.
So that recognition of girls globally being denied education is absolutely relevant. And it just really speaks to the common goal that we have internationally, which is to empower girls and women. And as they said, it's not enough to just educate girls, but you got to make sure that they are in a safe environment and that they receive the education really and the coping skills to be able to deal with a lot of traumatic experiences that they have in their communities, and that's globally. So, I mean, we have been fortunate as an organization to entertain and invite international delegations into our program, and they have been inspired by the work that we do. They've been inspired by seeing our girls develop. They've also been kind of in a state of shock because they don't have the same kind of issues that we have. So when we talk about teen pregnancy, they was like, wow, really? Because in many developing countries, they got religious norms that prevent them from having that kind of issue. But by the same token, they got issues that prevent girls from having a focus, or the community from having a focus on girls' education. So the goal is the same, and that is to empower girls and women and have them represent economically what they represent by the numbers, and that is that they are over 50% of the world's population. And
Sure.
we're holding up the sky, and therefore we should be providing the resources and the wherewithal for girls to succeed and contribute.
No,
I'm so pleased to see. I saw a video here recently about the number of women leaders that are running countries right now. I mean, and that is so encouraging. I mean, there was a pretty long list of women prime ministers and presidents. So we're making progress, but there's still a lot to be done. So I'm going to let Dawn talk to you about what we're doing around our programs to really provide the tools that girls need here in the Los Angeles area and beyond.
No, I appreciate that, Betty, and I'm going to go to Dawn now because EmpowHer notes that it's the only gender-responsive organization in LA County that provides a social-emotional learning course. Can you share with us the purpose and importance of being a gender-responsive organization and how that helps you fulfill your roles?
Yeah, so I do want to go back because you were asking about the schools, and I think
Yeah.
and who our girls are, and I think it's really important to also mention that all of our schools are Title I schools.
Okay.
So, and what that means is that these are schools that are typically in high poverty communities, and they are schools where the majority of the young people, over 70%, are going to qualify for free and reduced lunch.
Okay.
Now, for our girls, 96% of the girls that we serve qualify for free or reduced lunch, meaning that they live below the poverty line.
Okay.
And so that's really important to bring up. The other part is that 100% of our girls are girls of color.
Okay.
So they are by BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous, People of Color. And so that's really important because that says a lot about what creating a safe space is,
Okay.
and what is needed for the population. And so that's why we say that we serve marginalized girls, because they really are from marginalized communities, and they have had very unique experiences. So creating a safe space for them is more than simply saying you are welcome, right? But really creating a room and a space that says we are going to, where the room is designed in a way that feels as though it is for girls, where the language that we use is, friendly or appropriate for, is responsive to females and what is needed from that gender. The way we think about the fact that girls are communal, right? And so girls do better in communities and in spaces where they work together, right? And so that's how we work with them. They are natural nurturers. And so we work with them from those perspectives. And so
Okay.
when we talk about gender responsive, that's what it means, that we respond to what it is that that particular gender needs in order to be successful. We're also culturally inclusive and trauma informed. And because we are working with girls who come from marginalized communities, they have experienced a lot of trauma.
Okay.
And so they have experienced trauma from simply being girls of color in the world, Black and brown girls, right?
Okay.
And what that means in the classroom. And in schools sometimes, and in their communities. They live in communities that are high violent communities. They have experienced assault on them physically, mentally, emotionally. And so we have to keep those things in mind. And that informs how we work with them. We let them set the space and let them set the pace on what they need, instead of us coming in and saying, this is what you need. And so that's what that means, to work with a gender responsive community, or from a gender responsive perspective.
Okay. So, with that as the backdrop, how have you gone about your developing programs and services to meet the needs of these young ladies? Let's talk about a couple of your key initiatives. I believe one is the EmpowHer Academy. Share with us more about that, please.
Yeah, so we pretty much have like four key initiatives. So one would be our Empower Her Girls Academy, which is our largest program, and that where we have girls in middle school. So those are middle school age girls. They're about 11 to 13 years old. And what we do is we are the only gender responsive organization that goes inside the schools and works with the girls during the school day. So we actually provide a social emotional learning class that is part of the design of their school day or their classes, and they receive credit for that.
So that's the Empower Girls Academy. Share with us the Empower Leaders Academy, and how is that differentiated, and who is that serving?
Yeah. So with the Girls Academy, we want to get them into high school. So once they get into high school, then we introduce them to the Leaders Academy. And that program actually started because there were alumni from our Girls Academy that said, hey, we want to continue with you. And so we started the Leaders Academy. And now that program has grown to be a Saturday program that happens every week on Saturdays for 38 weeks,
Oh, wow.
2 hours per week. And those girls, every 4 weeks, we focus on a different topic, and they get everything from mentoring. Our girls, our with our Girls Academy, the middle school program, they get group mentoring. So adult women come in and mentor them once a month. And for our high schools, they come in and mentor them once a month, but it's one-on-one mentoring. So every
Okay.
high school girl gets her own mentor, and they focus on everything from how to handle their emotions to how to navigate systemic barriers to how to solve issues in their community using STEM, to solve how to identify and solve issues in their communities, and to financial literacy and college and career readiness.
Yeah, Dawn,
Yeah.
I'm going to stop you right there because you mentioned utilizing STEM. And we just had a recent episode with Dr. Betty Walker and Hal Walker and the work that they're doing with African American Male Achievers Network and promoting access to science, technology, and particularly in this case, space technology. And then many episodes ago, we had Veronica Melvin on from LA Promise Fund and the work that they're doing with kids of color, boys and girls in South LA around STEM. Tell us about your STEM Academy and how that's evolving. And are you seeing a rich uptick in interest in STEM learning and opportunities?
Yeah, so ours is not an actual separate academy. We bring it into the two academies that we're doing. So we
Okay.
highlight it. And that is part of the, again, the breaking generational cycles of poverty and the career exposure. And so we really try to expose our girls to careers where they are underrepresented,
Okay.
where girls of color, and we're girls, and then girls of color are underrepresented. And so STEM is a huge part of that, right? And so they get to do everything from in the summers partner with like Lucas Scholars and do a week-long STEM camp, to use STEM to identify, to figure out how to solve issues in their community and their local community during our Girls Academy. I'm sorry, during our our Leaders Academy. To simply doing STEM activities and going to events at like BuzzFeed and SpaceX, with our Girls Academy.
Okay.
So we really weave that in, and we have seen an increase in the interest in STEM, and also a lot. We've broken the barrier of fear,
Okay.
because I think about my own self. The first time I heard STEM, I was like, "Whoa,
Right.
I don't know if I'm smart enough for that," right? Like,
It sounds
because of
sounds
how we are.
ominous. STEM.
Right, right. And the way that we're taught as girls, we're taught that our intelligence, is not to pass a certain threshold, even though we're the most educated population. Like, we're taught that. So, and so there is this sort of fear when you hear STEM, when you hear math and science and engineering, and technology. So we're seeing the girls be more bold about trying it and enjoying it and exploring it in college.
No, that's great. And, again, as I said, we had these previous episodes where we've addressed it at various points. And, we talk about the issue of representation in these knowledge based industries, high growth industries, high wage industries. And, Betty, I'm going to ask you because, you had a career in technology in corporate. So, what do you perceive now as it relates to girls of color and accessing this particular sector and their interest in going into these fields? And here you had a successful field in STEM yourself.
Yeah. So one of the things that I have brought to bear for Empower Her is my understanding, as you said, of STEM, and recognizing that STEM is a utility. It's like a pencil. And so I try to break it down for our girls so they don't think of it as ominous, uh, because there's so many things that they do on a daily basis that speaks to their capacity and their intelligence around STEM. I mean, look how sharp they are with the use of their cell phones. That's where I start with. Meet them where they are, right? And so to show them that they already know how to use technology, so they have no reason to fear it. And again, recognizing that a lot of their interest today is facilitated by the use of technology. So whether they want to do fashion design, whether they want to uh, create makeup, whether they want to be a scientist, whether they want to be a doctor, all of those things, technology underlies their ability to solve those kind of problems. So we just kind of break it down for them. I mean, and so Dawn mentioned the fact that our girls get to go on field trips where they are inspired, and I'm so happy to see the results of our girls getting exposed. And part of that exposure is taking them on field trips. And so we took them to a field trip in Beverly Hills, where they met with executives who were producing a popular show. And the producers had told them that they could come with storylines, and they would allow them to present ideas for them to do the show. As a result of that experience, we had girls who decided that they wanted to go into production and digital media. And we are fortunate that we had uh, students who are now attending prestigious universities majoring in digital media. One student's at NYU and another one is at Chapman University. So we love it when we not only share with our girls and expose them to opportunities, but when they take it and run with it.
Excellent. So, Dawn, I'm curious, so your programs are delivered through schools. So how do schools find you? How do you approach schools? And of course, schools are always talking about, the challenge of any given day and all the work that has to be done. So, how are your programs incorporated into the classrooms during the course of a school day? And, how do you collaborate with schools?
Yeah, so the middle school program is in the schools, and the high school is not. But for schools that are interested in finding us, that we will reach out to schools as we learn about what is happening in that school. Usually, a parent or a student from that school will contact us and say, "I really want to be in your program," and we're like, "Well, we do this in the school, so let's talk to your principal." Or schools will reach out to us directly, and they can just email us at dawn@empowher.org.
And
And so they'll email.
is there any resistance at all? And if so, what would cause that resistance to?
So I'm gonna defer to Betty. I can say that right now. So I'll speak about right now, and Betty can speak about the history of it. Currently, we have schools that are knocking on our doors.
Okay.
We are not experiencing resistance, and I think it's because of the pandemic. I think of all that's going on emotionally for students right now. They need that additional support.
Okay.
So schools are knocking on our doors and asking. High schools, we're actually going to pilot into a high school next year, as well as middle schools. But I don't. So I would leave it to Betty to talk about the history of what the issue was prior to 17 years in. 17 years in, people love us and they knocking on the doors and they coming to us asking for us to be in their school.
That's great.
But I don't know what that was before.
Betty, was what as you launched this with your collaborators back in 2003, was there resistance at all? How was it accepted?
Yeah, so we actually went through some cycles, Dwayne. So we didn't start in the schools programmatically the way we are right now in 2003. We actually started this process in 2012. So we've been doing this now for 9 years, not for 17 years in this way.
Okay.
But we have always been very intentional and very deliberate about who we partner with. Not everybody who wants to date us, we choose to go out with. And so the demand has always been greater than our ability to deliver. So there's been a couple things that has really kind of been a limiting factor. So when you look over since 2012, we've been in probably 10 schools,
Okay.
and we're currently in 4. And there have been different reasons why things didn't work out with some of those past relationships, because it requires a mutual commitment. It has to be a commitment on the part of the administration at that school to commit resources, time, and money, and that's shared on our side. But it can't be a one-sided. So many times schools are accustomed to people coming in, handing them stuff, and doing it for them. This is a joint partnership. It's not we come in and do it and you sit back and judge it.
Okay. Well, we always want to, a key goal is fostering community connections and collaboration. So a key part of what we try to foster here at CivitasLA is to highlight the importance of partnership and collaboration. So can you share with us some successful partnerships and collaborations that have really fueled this work? And Dawn, as you move the organization forward, I want you to speak to what types of partnerships and collaborations that you're currently looking for to take this to another level.
So as Dawn mentioned, we partner with the schools that we work with. So those are partnerships, and those partnerships right now are with Environmental Charter Middle School in Inglewood, Environmental Charter Middle School in Gardena, And those environmental schools are run by a single CEO, but they all have individual principals
Okay.
and individual administrations. We're also working with Watts Center of
Learning Center.
Watts Learning Center, which is in Watts, and that's a charter school as well. And then we're working with UCLA Community School in the Pico Union area. So those are partnerships that have been the environmental charter school partnership has been around since 2012. So we've been with them for 8-9 years.
Okay.
The UCLA Community School was our next partnership in terms of tenure, and then Watts Community Learning Center Charter School is the next one. But we've been in, as I said, in other schools in the past. But those are the partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, we could not serve and would not have the capacity to serve these schools without financial support. And so we've had Southern California Edison as a long-term partner, donor for us.
Excellent, yeah.
And also US Bank has been a long-term funder of ours. And who else has been really long-term? I mean, over the past couple of years, yes, Southern California Gas has been around for a while supporting us. And then our largest donor to date has been JP Morgan Chase.
Okay. No.
As an organization, and so they've been a consistent donor. And I want to put on the record that we actually have our largest individual donor is an executive from back east with a $50,000 donation toward our STEM focus. And this was some time ago, of Reggie Van Lee, who is really an arts and culture patron.
Oh,
but
excellent.
he still shows as the largest donor. He still registers as the largest donor for EmpowHer at this point.
Sure.
And I do want to mention that, what you were asking about, like some stories around the partnerships. And, I just had a meeting with our ECMS Inglewood program. And in the program, we have teachers and counselors who are teaching the courses. Well, she started as a counselor. She's now the principal of the school, and she was the teacher. So she was our EmpowHer teacher, and now she's the principal of the school.
Oh, that's great.
So she is diehard for EmpowHer because she's actually taught the curriculum and has seen the impact of it. And we see that, we've seen that a lot, where we are seeing people who started, we have a vice principal in our Gardenia school who is actually teaching the curriculum because she just loves it so much. And the high school, the principal, I was just talking to him the other day, and he was saying that he had a girl in his program who just had a bad day, and she ended up flipping out on him. She ended up cursing him out. It was just a bad situation all over. And he said he was like, okay, clearly you don't want to talk to me. So who are you willing to talk to so that we can get you in a better space? And she looked at him and said, I only want to talk to in my EmpowHer group. So that's the only people I will talk to. And so he said that was the moment when he thought, I don't care what goes down, this program is staying in this school because we are seeing the impact. This is a child who doesn't come to class, who has had so many emotional issues as a result of trauma that she's experienced at the hands of men. And she comes just so she can do EmpowHer. And that's who she asked for.
No, that's great.
So we're seeing that.
No. And Dawn, again, congratulations. I know you came in as the new CEO only about 4 months ago. So as you think about partnerships and collaborations and moving the organization onwards, upwards, and forward, what types of partnerships and collaborations are you looking for now? What's your call to action to potential listeners to this program to, get inspired and get motivated to call you and partner with you going forward?
Yeah. So our Girls Academy is tried and true. That has been going on for many years. Our high school program, we this year switched it from being it used to be once a month for 6 months. We switched it to be once a week for 38 weeks. And so with that high school program, we also provide with the mentors. We're always looking for mentors. So anyone who's interested in volunteering, women who are interested in volunteering, professional women, as mentors, that is something that we definitely are always looking to partner with.
Okay.
We like to partner with individuals as well as companies. So SoCal Gas, we're partnering with them to get a group of women who are volunteering to become mentors for a year. We are always looking to partner with companies that are interested and willing to allow our girls to job shadow
Okay.
and to do internships, paid internships. We do provide scholarships for our graduating seniors. And so we are always looking for sponsors for that, as well as, of course, we want to funding. We are a small but mighty team.
Okay.
I like to say we are serving. Actually, we just did the numbers, and last year we served 555 girls in the calendar year.
Okay.
This year it looks like we're going to be somewhere in the 600 number. We are a small but mighty team, and there really are this two full-time staff that do that, and
Okay.
some part-time staff. So we are looking to grow our team so that we can continue to provide the most quality services, and that means donations are greatly needed and appreciated, and partnerships and support from local businesses and corporations as well as foundations. And then lastly, I'll say we have this awesome event, which is our fourth initiative, which is our Girls to Greatness Teen Summit that
Okay.
happens every year. That Betty has the T-shirt that she's showing off from last year. And that event, we bring together 300 girls, and those girls participate in an all day of workshops and mentoring, and there's an award ceremony, our Rising Stars Awards, where we celebrate three women in a company who are 25 and under, who have made an impact in the world. This year our theme is Our Voice, Our Time, and that event will happen on April 30th. So we are looking
Okay.
for sponsors and volunteers because it is completely volunteer driven. And so we're looking for sponsors and volunteers for that event. It is funded by sponsors, and 100% of the money not only goes to that day where we focus a lot on STEM. The whole day is about focusing on getting girls exposed to careers where they are underrepresented.
Okay.
And so that's what they do throughout the day. It's all interactive workshops. But we're looking for
Okay.
workshop facilitators. And all of the funds that sponsors give us goes to our direct service programs throughout the year. So that is what we are looking for.
Well, we appreciate that, and we will certainly make note of the Girls to Greatness Teen Summit taking place this year at the end of April. And please do get us the information on that. We'd be happy to circulate that through our Civitas LA family and networks. Happy to do that.
Thank you. And it's this year it's going to be a virtual for the first time. It's
Sure.
virtual, but it's
Sure.
going to be so cool. Like we got a DJ and everything. Like it's just going to be this awesome, cool event.
We're all living in the virtual world for a while still. So you've talked about serving 500 or so young ladies in last year, but I know over the years you've touched the lives of over 4,000 young ladies, plus obviously their families and their communities. So I'm sure there are many incredible and moving personal stories that you can share with our audience. But Betty, since you led the organization for 17 years, I'm just curious to have you share a success story or two with our audience.
Yes, Dwayne, thank you. You're right. There are so many success stories that we have, but one that comes to mind for me, Dawn mentioned the Girls to Greatness event. And 2 years ago, one of our students who was challenged with homelessness, uh, was challenged with her own mental survival because she was bouncing from home to home, and because of these challenges, she was really dealing with suicidal tendencies.
Oh, wow.
And this young lady was so much embraced and empowered in her EmpowHer program, that she shared her personal story. And she shared that story because she wanted to save other girls from what she had gone through. But of course, in the process of her sharing her story, it gave her strength. And they also developed um, a solution that they presented to the Girls to Greatness event. There were four presentations, four different solutions that girls in other schools presented. But this team, with this young lady sharing her personal story and using that as a backdrop to develop a solution to suicide, they won the competition.
Wow.
And so out of adversity comes advantage, and I just love seeing our girls recognize that they can rise above their circumstances. So that's just one. Another situation, as I've seen our girls grow, and this is so common because, as Dawn mentioned, we start with our girls in seventh grade, and they're going through this really developmental period in their lives. So the seventh grade, this particular student came in, she was looking at her toes, she wouldn't look at you in the eye when she talked to you, and just certainly a demonstration of a lack of self-confidence and probably other deep issues going on with this child. And to see her grow from the seventh grade to the eighth grade, where she developed the confidence as a result of being part of the EmpowHer community and program and mentorship. This young lady stood on our stage in Beverly Hills at our event and talked to the entire 300 attendees.
Wow,
So
that's
it just
amazing.
goes to show you the power of community, the power of the social emotional learning environment that we create to help girls see what's possible for them,
That's
and
amazing.
to recognize that if they can see it, they can be it.
That's amazing. So, Dawn, you get the awesome privilege and opportunity to take this organization in ever new directions. So, what is your vision for the future of EmpowHer Institute, and where do you see the organization, say, 5 years or 10 years or your 17 years of leading it?
Yeah, so when I came in, one of the things that I really brought in was the social justice component to the organization. We've always done social justice, but we're just taking it to a place now where we're going deeper. And I talked a little bit about that earlier in what we're doing around the gender and racial justice work. And so that is one of the core components of our program now and our pillar that we are bringing into our work, and we are designing curriculum from that perspective and redesigning some of our curriculum to address that work and to make sure that we're steeped in that, and that is part of the sort of through line. We also have really taken some time to look at the pandemic right now and how girls are impacted, and so we have actually started an emergency relief fund that Betty started, and I've been blessed to get it to grow. Thank you to the Tyler Perry Foundation
Oh,
for
excellent.
giving us a very generous donation that funds it for the entire year. Um, and so we're able to provide some real emergency services for our girls, not just during the pandemic, but even after the pandemic, so that girls who are experiencing homelessness, like Betty mentioned earlier, we can help them. We're also looking at just going deeper with the social emotional component. So, what does it look like to bring in, to partner with MSWs to actually be placed in the school and during the school day to provide support? Because one of the things that a lot of people don't know is that it is recommended that there's one school counselor per 100 students in a school.
Hmm.
However, in LA County, what we're finding is that it's one school counselor per 300 kids. And in some schools, it's as much as one school counselor per 500 kids. So
Sure.
they're not getting the help that they need. So what we're doing is bringing in MSWs to actually be there during the school day, 2 to 3 days a week, to provide intensive case management for our girls who have the greatest need. And then we're just really are looking at how are we going to expand this program beyond LA.
Okay.
And so when we talk
Okay.
about 5 years and 10 years from now, the next 2 years is all about perfecting the magic here, and my sort of new vision around the steeping us in the social justice work, and while keeping all of the stuff that we were doing and expanding on our program so that we're serving over the next 2 years, we want to hit or serve at least 600 per year. And then we're looking at what does it look like to move outside of LA County into another part of California,
Okay.
and then ultimately outside of California. And so
Oh,
we're
wow.
looking at southern cities as well, where the greatest need, high poverty communities, as well as the East Coast. So DC is one of the cities that we're looking at. So
Yeah.
over the next 5 to 10 years, we're hoping to grow in the next 5 years to have at least 3 sites outside, and in the next 10 years, we're looking at 3 to 5.
No, that's excellent. Very powerful. So, as we come to near the conclusion of our conversation, obviously want to touch on this because it's so important and so powerful for the communities that you serve, and that's obviously the recognition that on January 20th, 2021, we saw the inauguration of the first Black Asian woman Vice President of the United States of America, former Senator Kamala Harris, now Vice President Harris. So, can you speak to the importance of this historic moment, not only for you, but for your students that you serve?
um, yeah. So listen, girls are rocking right now. I am
Okay.
so excited to see what women are doing, and we are boldly breaking ceilings, which is one of this the language that we use is one of our pillars. And what's awesome is that the young people that we work with, our girls get to see that. They get to see women boldly break ceilings. Um, for me personally, it was just this amazing, moving moment that brought me to tears to watch Kamala Harris be sworn in. Moved to California, and she was the first person I voted for. So,
Okay.
right, I moved to California just in time to register. And so she was the first person I voted for in San Francisco. I was living in San Francisco at the time. So she was, yeah, that's when she was in San Francisco. And so I had the opportunity to follow her career, but also just to see that image and know that there are no ceilings anymore, that we can do so much more, that the doors are opening for us, and we still have to break them down, but they can be broken down. And I think for our girls, they get to see images that we historically haven't seen in the US. And so it's so empowering for them to see that, to know that there are no limits. They are excited about it. And even when we started asking them, like, who would you want us to invite to be the keynote for EmpowHer,
I
they
can
were like,
guess. I
Kamala
can
Harris.
guess. I can guess.
Right? I was like, I don't think we could get her. She's a little busy right now.
Right.
But I thought it was great that was who they thought of. They didn't talk about like Rihanna. They didn't talk about Beyonce. They were like Kamala Harris,
Right.
which is just great.
Betty, do you want to share, please?
They will keep you centered on what's important to them. And so, Dawn, I'm pleased to hear that. But what I will say, Dwayne, is when we see someone like Kamala Harris in position, it lets us know that representation matters.
Mm.
And that when you see somebody who looks like you, it does internalize for you that if she can do it, I can do it. And again, I just want to reinforce what we say to our girls and what we recognize with our girls. If they can see it, they can be it. And so now we have more of our girls with a vision that they can become president or vice president or anything else that they choose to become. So yes, it's definitely a time for us to celebrate.
No, I appreciate that. And thank you both so much. This has been just a wonderful dialogue. And I appreciate you taking some time off today to join us on this. And we appreciate your community service. Hopefully, we can have you on, Dawn, again to follow the progress that you're making. And Betty and Dawn, thank you for joining Civitas LA. As we always like to say, you get the last word. Betty, you first, and then we'll give Dawn the last word.
Dwayne, I want to say thank you for inviting me and EmpowHer to be the kickoff organization for Women's History Month. Dwayne, you extended this invitation to me last year and gave me a choice whether I wanted to be featured on Black History or whether I wanted to be featured for Women's History Month, and I chose Women's History Month. So thank you for giving us that opportunity. We didn't know that we were going to have the power and dynamism of Dawn L. Brown, but we are blessed and fortunate that we have Dawn as our leader of EmpowHer, and I'm so thrilled that she was able to join me.
Dawn, the final word.
Yeah, so Dwayne, thank you so much for having us and giving us this opportunity to share this incredible organization. And thank you to Betty for creating such an amazing organization that I get to, take the baton and take to the next level. If I could just say one thing, I think that right now is such a crucial time in our world where we are dealing with a pandemic, health pandemic, as well as a racial reckoning. And our girls are in a place where I know we hear this all the time, like no other time before. Your support is needed, but it is really true at this time. Our girls are being impacted in a way that is tremendous. I mean, I just had to give funds to get basic health supplies to a child because they didn't have it in the house. They didn't have toothpaste. They didn't have just the very basic things that they needed because it was a decision about, am I going to feed my child or am I going to give my child, soap? And so, if you have ever thought about wanting to support or help girls of color, girls from marginalized communities, children in LA, this is the time. And so I encourage your listeners to, reach out to us, to check out our website and to learn more about us because we are walking our talk and we're doing the work every day and we're having amazing impact, but we can have even more with your support. To learn more about EmpowHer, go to our website at empowher.org. That's spelled EmpowHer.org.
Well, we appreciate that. And again, Betty and Dawn, we both appreciate you both. And we look forward to receiving information about this year's Girls to Greatness Conference taking place at the end of April. And we will certainly put that in our episode notes as well. So thank you both again. We really appreciate it. And we just love the work that EmpowHer is doing in our community. And to our audience, as always, we thank you for joining us. We hope you learned a lot from this episode, and we appreciate that all you do out there to support our great region. So thank you again. We hope you enjoyed this program, and we hope you join us next week as we look forward to another great conversation with another great female leader moving our community forward. So as we say, until we meet again, stay strong and get involved. To learn more about CivitasLA and share feedback on this program, or if you have a recommendation about future programs, please visit our website at www.civitasla.com. And if you're on our site, we invite you to take our listener survey and offer your suggestions. We also invite you to visit our support page and consider ways that you might support this work, including through the purchase of some great new merchandise that we have, including a great CivitasLA tote bag and an outstanding CivitasLA face mask, which everyone is wearing right now. And finally, as we grow our CivitasLA family, we invite you to connect with us on Facebook at CivitasLA, Instagram at Civitas_LA, and on Twitter at Civitas_LA.